What's going on, y'all? It's J Small Reviews here, back at it again with another video. I know the uploads have been a little bit spaced out, man. It's just been a little bit quieter 2 weeks. You know how it goes in battle rap. We don't have an event for a week or two, and all of a sudden the what has battle rap come to conversation activities start. So for the most part, with a lot of ridiculousness in the streets and a big December ahead, just been taking a little bit of time, saving my energy for a lot of the content that will be on the way for you guys on multiple different platforms. But as you can see by the video that's presented to you right now, we are doing the drop your location predictions, going over to Philly. I know we're about 2 weeks out, but wanted to get my quick thoughts on this one. Undercard is solid, but not too crazy. I think the theme really makes it. Obviously, with the bullpen versus trenches theme, some of the talent's going to be a little bit more prideful here compared to other cards. And obviously, blockbuster main event with Easy and John John. Haven't changed my prediction too much on it, but I'm going to give a little more detail as we get towards the end. But without further ado, let's start right from the bottom of the card. So as for the trenches versus top bull, right, it looks like a little bit of like a tourney mix here with some real new talent. Not too familiar with many of the names. I do know who Jay Moore is, but outside of that, don't want to disrespect by not knowing the name, so I'm going to leave that out of the predictions. But we could start from the bottom of maybe the official card is what you call it, and that does start with Zan versus Cashflow Rizzy. Two battles to catch from each of them if you don't know their talent too well. Obviously, Cashflow Rizzy just battled E-Heart pretty recently. Didn't exactly go her way. But a little bit of the recent footage I saw from her, I believe that she was on another bullpen card. I can't recall at this exact moment. And then Zan, I saw recently battle Taz on the trenches, someone who's going to be on the Chrome card. So both of them had a look recently. Figured I'd check it out. And as for the predictions in this one, I'm going to go Zan 2-1. Not overly familiar with both of their games to break it down in detail, right? I see that the reason I give it to Zan, though, is I see a little bit more aggression, just a little bit more with what she has. I think Cashflow is decent, but I think bar for bar, neither of them are exactly, reinventing the wheel. I think that they can both be a little bit dry with the content, so who's a little bit more powerful? Who brings something else to the table? And I think Zan just seems to give a little bit more, in my opinion, on the effort side. Maybe not always the most perfect battle rap, but if you take that aggression, that mold that she has, you kind of build around that. I just see a little bit more potential in her than Cashflow, which is why I have her winning the battle. From there, we can get into Riggs versus Kaboom. And it's going to be very similar to the next battle we talk about with Clone and Ines. And this is really someone who's just more capable bar for bar versus a Philly rapper who's going to have more of the Philly flows, right? The energy, kind of work the room, and maybe just straight rap a little bit better. In this setting, it helps the Kaboom and the Ines to do a little bit better. The people are going to be more receptive to their style, but in this particular matchup, I do have Riggs 2-1, if not 3-0. While I do like some of the stuff Kaboom puts together, like versus Gwitty in long rounds, some of it's good, some of it's bad, and versus Gwitty, you can get away with that versus a Riggs who's going to be much more sound with the schemes, bar to bar. I think Riggs takes some chances out there, can get a little reachy, but that's part of being a pen. I think there's still more good than bad, though, when he's been on a roll. So I just think he has more fire shit to say than Kaboom. There's really no other way for me to put it. Could be a decent battle, but I think Riggs just handles business and wins clear. And like I kind of alluded to, same thought process goes into Ines versus Clone. I like this one a little bit more. We know the Clones obviously had a little bit of an under the radar year. I don't have him winning a battle this year, not going to lie to you. I have him losing to Nex, losing to Av, losing to Trez. But obviously Trez and Av are top comp, and he was very good in those battles, even with me giving him an L. So you got to give him his credit there. And as for Ness, him and Dot, many people gave him a lot of credit for. He obviously beat Dot. I don't think Dot is the most difficult competition, but he did it kind of in style. And Ness has been decent. You'd figure in this setting of all settings, that gives Ness the best chance to win. Home game flows. But I'm going to go the same way I went with Riggs. I just think Clone has a little bit more to do bar for bar. Clone's going to land some more definitive haymakers. And even though he raps like this, I think he can change it up a little bit for this one. I think if anything, Ines is the battle. You show some respect, change up the flow pockets a little bit, and I just think you get a little bit more from Clone than you're used to, and probably locks down his first clear win of the year. I do have him 2-1 over Ines, but I could see it in a sense not being a battle of the night, but being one of the more entertaining battles of the night overall. From there, you can get into the two battles that are, I guess, the co-main events in a sense are right under, a little bit bigger namesake. Before we get to Easy and John John, the first to talk about is Mike P versus Loso. I like it. First of all, congrats to Mike P, man, getting the $150K in the Call of Duty tournament. Full Search and Destroy tournament. They won in a reverse sweep round 11. A lot of y'all don't know what that means, but just know that Mike won the money in the most dramatic fashion possible. It was very dope to see live, and I'm happy for him. Talked about accomplishing his dream, and that I just think it's a dope thing. Whenever people work towards something for years or imagine something, they make it happen. So he goes from the 150 back to battle rap versus Loso, someone, in my opinion, that really needs to win this year. He does have looks that some people would debate how good they are, right? The T-top battle, good look. Personally, I had him lose, and I thought he did some things I didn't like, but he was decent in the battle. Same for Jazz. You could debate that he beat Jazz in that one-rounder. Another one he was good in, but I had him losing a Real Deal on the Stay Forever card. It was supposed to be more of a wholesome card, and obviously. Real Deal kind of was super, super serious, while Loso might have been a little bit more reserved. You have the Danny battle, tough loss on BullPen. You have the Kid Chaos battle, real tough loss recently on URL. Just don't think he's been trending in the best direction. Really think he could use a win or at least a high-quality, debatable battle. But I got to give Mike a lot of credit. On top of what he's been doing with the Call of Duty stuff in terms of battle rap, he's put together maybe some of the most wins he's put together in a row. I think he's won about three of his battles in a row now. If you go back to last year, it's a few more than that, right? We might be talking like 6 battles, 7 battles. And we do have the wins versus Thesaurus, the win versus Rosenberg Ross. Some pretty good competition in there, too. I think Mike and Loso do some similar things. Both can be very great on the angle front. Maybe Loso's a little more recognized in that category, while Mike in the straight haymaker, rhyme pockets clearly does a little bit more than Loso as well, although they're both kind of considered pens. But I do have Mike 2-1 going into the battle. While Loso needs the win, I think it's going to be a good version of Loso, but we're talking trenches, which now Mike is kind of making a home, it looks like a little bit. He's going to go everywhere. I'm not going to say a straight home, but he's getting very comfortable in that setting. It's a very good setting for his style, and he's rapping with confidence. Some people would say the Call of Duty tournament might take a little bit of his focus away. If anything, I think winning that much money might even add to your confidence in the moment. Being a battler is all about presentation, all about confidence and delivery of your material. Both are pens, so they'll have good material, but Mike does a little bit more of the other things. And for me, could secure a 2-1 clear W here over Loso to add to what's been a very, very good 2023 for him. And then the last battle before we get into the main event is someone we haven't seen that much this year, coming off a top 5 champion of the year last year. And that is Bill Collector versus Bad News. So as for Bill, on a 2-year URL exclusivity contract, right? So to see him come over to the trenches, he's obviously been a little bit vocal about his issues with the URL, the way he's booked, and now you see him here. He hasn't battled for the most part this year, battled Sheed early in the year. A good battle that probably should have been better considering how much it was supposed to mean to Sheed and the way the battle had been talked up. You put it on the outside card, so it was good, but it could have been better. And then I believe he battled Big Walk on iBattle. I think he lost that battle, actually, and now you got Bad News. So a little bit less of an active year, and for me, it just comes down to motivation. I think Bad News is good, right? I think Bad News, delivery-wise, has always had it. Content is what gets questioned with Bad News. Been a little bit better in recent times versus J2, versus Snake Eyes, the one-rounder versus Danny, right? It's been better, but not great. I think Bill Collector is a great talent and a great battle rapper. When it comes to, they both can match each other, maybe animation-wise, a little bit on that performativeness and projection, but in terms of the bar for bar, the rapping ability, even angling, Bill Collector is just a better battle rapper. So it really comes down to motivation. If Bill's heart isn't battle rap, and this is something he's taken serious, which you figure if you're on a URL contract going to trenches, there's going to be natural question marks that come up, so you need maybe that statement performance. I think you reach higher heights, so I am going Bill 2-1, but if he's a little bit lackadaisical and maybe his heart's not fully in it motivation-wise, don't be surprised if Bad News could snatch a W here. And that leaves you with the top battle of the night, a battle I've talked about more than a few times and talked about on this channel. I'll probably clip the video here at the end, but that is Easy the Block Captain versus John to Don. Head of the BullPen versus Trenches card, $25,000 on the floor, grudge match, every title you can put on it, it has. And as for as for both of them, it's a must-win situation. But starting with John, I could see him having one of his better performances in a minute in this battle. Ever since Surf, but even before the Surf battle, I believe the Ill Will battle, Ace battle was a pretty good look. Personally, had Ace winning. Ill Will battle was rough, and then you have. From Surf to now, it's been a little harder for John quality-wise. He obviously beat Jay Mills and Mr. Fab, but outside of that, I had him losing to 40, had him losing to Trez, obviously lost to Surf. Now, there could be a little bit more opinion in that. Did have a debatable with T-Top on Summer Madness, although the battle quality was very much so in question. So why not just give a definitive, explosive performance here? He's a legend. I think he's been on a bit of a down spell, but it's a battle he said he wants desperately, or not like to say wants desperately. Desperately can come with a negative connotation, but he wants it badly, right? This is a battle he is super motivated for. And on the flip side, you have Easy coming off the first clear loss that he's had since his humongous streak happened versus the top tiers. In a similar situation, right? Battle Gotti in Philly. Chrome card, obviously, not trenches. So now you put this battle in Philly. He's going to face a lot of the same angles. We can just call it out now, which I don't see too much of an issue with. John angling is his strong suit, and he's going to hear these angles for the rest of the time. Now, in terms of the explosiveness of it, I don't think just because Geechee did it that it's going to fully take away from John's usage of it, of Pap, of Remy, of the topics he brings up, but it does make it harder to be the knockout. It'd still be very good, but he's going to have to really perfect the delivery of it to give that same Geechee-like effect, if that's even possible. But I do think that there's a path to him possibly winning with that. When we talk about angles, that type of personalness and explosiveness, I think anything could happen. But for me, like I said, I'm not changing my prediction too much on this one. I do have an easy gentleman's 30, and that's not because of the angling, because they both can angle very well. While John has the stronger angle, Easy can still talk about some of the things that's happened with BullPen recently, maybe the recent quality dip in John's performances, but more than anything, it's the other categories that I feel like Easy beats him out at, and that's where he creates separation. He did it versus Cal, he did it versus Hitman, he did it versus Shine. He's going to match you at what you do great, right? He pretty much matched Hitman with the performance. I think he matched Cal with the real talk. Those are bags we know he has. But the pen, it's the fact that he can do the drug talk, the real talk, and the angling, but add the punches, add the schemes. You get the best of both worlds, where I think John is just going to be more upfront with it. Easy's going to give you a more well-crafted and clever approach to the way that he angles things. I think that's how he's gotten a lot of his W's versus some legends on par, if not greater than John. And I think even though you get a very good John in this battle, 25K on the floor, he has to be very good. I think Easy can just reach higher heights, and I do think he does a little bit more performance-wise, and definitely does more pen-wise, can match him on the angles. When you break it down that way, for me, I just think it's too many advantages pointing towards Easy. Even has the ability to maybe counter-right correctly this time versus John, right? You faced the angle technically 2 times, but really faced it versus Geechee. You get a second shot back here in Philly home game to really address everything properly or right against it correctly, and then still possibly have the better content outside of the angle-based stuff. So for all those reasons, like I said, I kind of reiterated myself a lot, but just to make it clear, that's the reason that I do have Easy the block captain in this battle. And even though I do have it as a gentleman's 30, I think they're both going to be 2 of the best quality-wise battle rappers on the card. In the rare situation, I do have one person winning all the rounds going in, but it's also my battle of the night pick for the card. And that is my full predictions here for the Drop Your Location guard. You guys let me know in the comments down below. How do you feel about Easy and John? Who's your winner? And then as for the undercard, who are some standout performers you're looking forward to, or standout battles? Do you think Mike makes a real impression here? Do you think Clone maybe gets that first big win of the year? Do you see Bill Collector, who hasn't battled a lot, making a statement? Please let me know your battlers and what you think is going to stand out in this card. Like I said, a lot of content coming out in December, recaps, end of the year content. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be a couple different places. You're going to see my face doing a bunch of talk about 2023. But it's been J Small Reviews again, y'all. As I said, like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.